Hey, welcome back everyone. My name is Arvid, and in today's video I want to talk about anisotropic shaders. But before we start, I want to talk about you guys, how you support me and give me nice feedback about the stuff I am producing for you. And I really appreciate it because it motivates me to create more content for you guys. And it is also a good learning experience for me. So thank you guys for that. And if you haven't done so, there are already a few older tutorials on my page where the sound is not too good, but they are still quite helpful if you want to have a look. Quite a few already, as I told you. So, what are we going to do today? I have a quite exciting tutorial for you guys today. So, it has something to do with Marvel, and if you have checked my tabs in the top, we will talk about Captain America. We want to create this shield from Captain America with nice anisotropic reflections, with a nice curved bump map on top of this. It is quite challenging to create if you don't have the maps for that. And to get the maps for this, you most probably either paint them yourself or you work in a production where you get the textures provided. I don't have either of those. So what we will do, we will create this shader from scratch using procedurals. And you might think, well, is that even possible? We can actually get quite close using only procedurals. The only thing we will need to get from the internet is the star, because I don't think there's any procedural node in Maya to create like objects. Also, what we don't have is like scratch maps and something like that. This would be a texture, but I don't have this, so we will skip the textures. But I can add something like the grunge and stuff. That should be fine. Jumping directly into Maya. So jumping directly into Maya, this time we will have a vanilla Maya scene. There's no models prepared, nothing. I just have two lights, a studio light and a sunny environment. And for the geo, there's currently nothing in there. So this tutorial will be rather quick, or I will talk quick and do all the stuff rather fast, or not fast, but it is my workflow. So please stay focused and have a look what I'm doing. If you get stuck, just pause the video, go back and have a look again. So the first thing I want to do is create a disk, which will be essentially the shield. And for now, I want to increase the scale to, I don't know, let's say 10 for the disk, or let's just go with 50. All right, that's the shield. The shield is actually bent, so first we need to add more subdivisions in the tessellation when I can find it. It's always NURBS. I hate NURBS. NURBS, where are the NURBS? There we go. So 50 and 50 maybe. Let's just go for 100 to make it nice and clean. And then Alt-D, Alt-Shift-D or something to clear the history. And going into vertex mode, we grab the ones in the center. And then we press B for soft selection, B, click and drag to increase the radius, W, and pull it up. There we go. So we need a bigger fall off, definitely. All right, so we get a nice bent shield. Not sure how much it is bent exactly, but it should be just fine. So centering the pivot, bringing it back down. Well, I think it will work. Let's just rotate this 90 degrees, something like this. So I won't model it detail or anything. It's just about the shader. So we should be happy with this. So let's see what we got from the lights itself. So we will first work in the studio lighting, and I will assign an AL surface shader. If you don't have them, check my series of 102, and there I will go to the alShader website where you get the instructions how to install them. It is actually quite easy. If you have some troubles, please get in touch with me. So let's call this AL Shield. I like to name most of my stuff, just it's easier for other people if they'll have a look at your scenes, or it's actually if you visit or revisit your scenes after a while, it is helpful to know what you did there. So this is the shield, and the first thing I want to do is create a ramp. This tutorial will be having lots of ramps actually. So this one goes for now into the color slot. Out color goes to diffuse color, and we call this one base color, like so. And the important thing is UVs. And the default for the disk, the UVs are actually laid out properly like this. So we can actually use the ramps and all the stuff, all the procedurals work quite nicely because it is a really good UV unwrap for this. So saving and starting the IPR session. So this is my studio lighting setup. Nothing too fancy. And we will work in most of the times in the isolate selected mode just to see what the maps are actually doing. So selecting the base map, we want to create something like this or this, and we want a circular map for this. So let me just detach this guy, minimize this, view image. Anyways, I got the gist, I guess. So changing the mode to be radial, no, always the wrong one, circular, there we go. So what do we want to do? We want to create those I don't know, color rings or whatever. So first change the mode to none, so we don't have any interpolation on the edges. So the centerpiece will be blue. Let's just do this quickly as well. Just for now, a bad blue, bad, not matching blue color. And red, silver, red. And at the edges also silver. So what did I say? Red, silver, red. So red for this guy. Then we have silver will be just white for now. Then another red. There we go. And at the outer edge, a white ring, wherever it is. There we go. So it actually, the distances are quite good already, but let's just adjust this tiny bit more. And I like to have small buckets for the render. So let's just change this quickly. It's just for a look dev, it's nicer to have quick feedback what you're actually doing. For batch rendering, you should keep your buckets rather big so it's more efficient. Okay, so this is the outer edge. Let's just move those. Let's see if they are actually the same. I think they are spread the same distance. Maybe the silver one is a bit bigger than the others. So let's do this. Something like this should work, I guess. So now how do we get the star in here? The star is silver as well. So for this, that's the only texture I will need. So I will just download. Let's see if this is a JPEG view image. It's a PNG. I'm not sure. Let's just try this or this. Let's just see if we can work with this. Otherwise, I need to convert this to JPEG and for a white border. So let's go to desktop and call this star. There we go. Back to Maya and AI image node and choosing the desktop star. And let's just see if we can actually see something when I plug this into the diffuse color. IPR session. So is that expected? I guess so, because it's white, because it's black. So let's see if we can connect. I will just adjust it quickly in Photoshop. Okay, file open and then desktop and star and new file. And first we Control I for invert and we make this a Shift F5 color black. There we go. Control Shift S desktop and call this a JPEG and star underscore edit. Control A, Control C to copy, save, going back to Maya, going here, paste this. Let's see what we got now. What is happening? There we go. Okay, now we've got a star. It should be fine. It's possibly just stretched or something. Going to the UVs. Yeah, it's all good. So what I want to do now is try to combine these two colors with a AL remap, AL combine color, and move these over. Combine color. The out color goes into input 1, and the AI image actually goes into the input 3 for a lerp operation, which is essentially a mix. This is called star. IMG. Let's see, this goes, is for now it's on multiply. White multiplied brings us nothing, so we just go add Arnold render view. Let's see if we see something, or we don't see something at all. Well, we see the star. Why is this not working? Oh, because it's an input 3. That makes totally sense. Lerp is what we wanted. So just for now, just plug in the out color into input 2. Break this guy. So something, that's why it's not connected. I was panicking a bit here. So this and this. So that is what I wanted to see in the first place. So it is rotated. That's a bit of an issue. The only thing we can do for now is either rotate the image or rotate the UV map. And I think I will just rotate the shield, which is a bit of a hack, but never mind. So I'm just rotating the geometry. So it is a straight on. You can also rotate the UVs, whatever. Never mind. So now the thing, I want to control this, but I want to see this. And with eyesight selected, you need to copy this. So you get a new attribute editor just for the image. And then I select the combine, and then I can actually adjust it while driving the UVs for the other map. So I want to scale it down, let's say to 2, not 22, tab 2. And I want to wrap it with a clamp, so it's actually clamping the picture at the edges. And then I will just position the star in the center, like so. It's a bit too big still, 2.5, 2.5. This is a bit fiddly. Now it's a bit too small, so let's just try 4, 2.4, 2.2. You see, it's a bit fiddly. I'm trying to do as fast as I can so you don't get bored so quick. All right, this edge is a bit off, so we'll be trying to move it slightly down. Okay, I think this is good enough. So now I actually want to drive this with a mask rather than piping it directly in here. So let's just disconnect this guy and connect the R into the lerp function, and then I want to use lerp here. And now we can drive this with a color, which is way nicer. So we can actually make it blue or yellow, whatever, because it's driven by a mask. For now, I will keep this to white because it will be a chrome. And the chrome reflective color is not purely white because that would be not physically accurate. It's something about this gray tint. So I will change the ramps as well to this gray color. This gray and the other one as well. It might confuse you for now, but it is fine. It will make sense soon. All right, there we go. So what I want to do now is I disconnect this from the diffuse color because metal does not have any diffuse color, or not actually. So I will connect this out color into my specular 2 reflectivity color, which is this here, reflectivity. And I'll connect this, and I connect the other one to the edge tint, which is the 90-degree reflection color. So going back to the shader, enabling the reflection, and changing the mode to metallic, we should now see some metallic shader here. Disabling spec 1 for now. And this is what we currently get for our reflection. So this is now with no roughness at all, the reflection color. So first, I want to bring back some roughness, and then I want to tweak the colors. So let's just have a look here. We remove this shield goes on top. Is this on top now? Yeah. Okay. So we want something similar to these colors. So the blue is actually all right already, but we will still tweak it anyways. Okay. So the blue will be, I'm just picking some color here. I didn't want to click in here anyways. Okay, so the blue is now quite good. It can be a bit more cyan. Let's just move this over a tiny bit. Yeah, something like this. Now going to the red. Red is more, it's like a pinkish color. Not so strong in reflection. It's really sensitive values here. Maybe this, it's maybe a bit too saturated. So let's just reduce the saturation a bit. Yeah, it's mostly tweaking. I think it's not perfect, but we will maybe adjust it later on. So on this red, it also gets the same color. So this is for now the basic shield. Show 3D manipulation. Okay, so this is what we got for now. And what do we want to do next? So to create anisotropic materials, it is very important what the surface looks like. So a surface which is smooth is isotropic, which means it has no not a different specular highlight based on the surface roughness. So if you have metals which are like brushed metals in one certain direction, you get like micro ridges on the geo or on the object itself, and the reflections catch differently because there are ridges on it. So to mimic that, you can either create a using Photoshop, create a, how's it called, a anisotropic map, something like a brushed map, something like this. Let's see if we see something. Yeah, something like this to create reflections like this. But you can actually do this kind of procedurally, and I want to show you how I do it and how you can do it as well. It will involve some coding, but it is nothing too special. So for now, I just create a ramp, which will be a circular one as well. A radial one, oh damn it, circular. So what I want to do is create lots of these pins here and then adjust the colors differently so we get the same effect using a ramp. So how would I do that? I don't want to create 1,000 colors in here and then adjust them and do all kinds of magic. I'm a lazy guy, so I want to use Python to assist me creating this. So first, what you want to do is import your modules you need. So the first one is import, damn if I can type, PyMelt core as PMC, and the other one is import random. So we've got the two modules, and the first thing I want to do is set up the basic thing to create colors onto the ramp. So the first thing, this is the name of the ramp. So this is let's just call this name ramp 1. And then what we want to do is we want to set an attribute on this ramp. So we do pmc.setAdder, and then we use the name and then .color and then .color entry and then a bracket, damn it. And then this is a value, which is which item in this array. So which item in this array of buttons. So you can see what's actually happening. Color entry 21 and position this. So whenever I move stuff, I get different colors or whatever. So I want to add, let's say, entry 0 for now, which is the first one in the list when I can get it. Somewhere it is here. And I want to set the position. So the color entry 0 dot position. Then I can specify where this will be position. That's the string. And then I can set on position 1. So 1 is the end, 0 is the beginning. So if I would do 0.5, I would create a color slot in the middle. So to show this to you, I just delete a few nodes and I run this. We don't have ramp. What does it say? My attribute name. Ramp1 does not exist. Color entry 0. Maybe it needs to be 1. Oh, it's actually called entry list. Sorry about that. Let's try again. A little spelling. You don't need double color. So if you have spotted this, well done. So now you can have seen that there was actually one item created right in the center. So let's just do this again. And boom, it's moved over here. So that's the one thing we want to do. And then we want to set the color of each item. So it is actually the same thing. So I will just copy this. And for the color, this would be color. And then you can specify a tuple with the values you need. So if I want to create a black one, if I'm not mistaken, it's all ones. And then the type will be a double. Type double 3. So what does this do now? Let's see. Obviously it will be white. So let's just change 1 so we get a color. There you go. Now you got cyan. So this is how the basic setup is. And all we need to do now is create a loop to generate all the colors in here. So a loop is something like this: for I in range, and you specify the range, let's say 10 loops, and then we just print I for now. This is what we got. So 0, 1 till 9. So we want to have it floating point, and we want it to be in the range of 0 to 1. So what I want to do is, this is my repetition value. So I'll just call this repeats or something silly. Repeats, and repeats is 10. And then I will divide the I value by 10. By repeats, actually. Repeats. Let's see what we get now. Possibly 0. Yeah, that makes sense, because we need it to be float. To do this, you just specify float in here, and this will create your floating point value of repeats, and then we should get decimals. So now, if I would run this, or let's just connect this stuff in here. So now what do we want to do? We want to dynamically change the position. So all I got to do now is add in the value of the position, which is this result of this. So this is my position. Position. And this one goes here. So now we will create, let's just see what we got. So this one is being moved all the time. It's so fast, it's actually moving all these steps. The problem is because we're just adjusting the one entry. So the I needs actually to be inserted here. So to do this, you create a curly bracket, which is an input. So so now you can do dot format, and then you can add, for instance, I, which means whatever is in this bracket, whatever is in I will be pushed over into this bracket. So let's see again what we get. So now something happened. Let's just for now delete this ramp and create a new one, just for a clean slate. So this is now the result. So we got now all the colors, and they are offset properly. So all we got to do now is create a random color, and we need more repetitions, but we don't care for this for now. So I added the random. So the random will be a color value, and let's just say color R is equal random dot uniform, and then a range from 1, let's say from 1 to from 0 to 0.2. Let's see, what do we get now? This should be a dot, actually. Let's see now what we get. Okay, so now we're generating a random value between 0 and 0.2. So this color will be this guy here 3 times because we want a gray value. And let's see what we get now. Repeats. So now we just get this on the first one. The problem is we still are just adjusting here 1. So we also need to do this curly bracket thing in here. And we copy the dot format I. And we paste this there. So let's see what we get now. So now we get actually something which looks really cool. And if we change our ramp to be circular, we get kind of the effect which we want. And now you might think, what is this all about? So I will now plug this map or this ramp. Let's just call this bump ramp, and plug this into the diffuse color. And for now, just disable spec 2 and run IPR. So this is now what we have. Obviously, we need way more repetitions. And to do this, all you got to do now is change repeat. And because we renamed our ramp to bump ramp, I need to change this name here as well. So this is bump underscore. And as well, bump ramp underscore. Okay, so let's try 100 repetitions and run this. All right, we are getting there, definitely. So this is now the effect we got. Checking the reference, wherever it is, you can see that we need way more repetitions. You can see how tiny the ridges are. So let's now try to get something which we actually want to see. So, and I will change the ratio for the color, make it a bit bigger so we get a stronger effect. And let's say we want 2,500 repetitions. Let's just see if my machine can handle this. Anyways, let's run. And we are back. And the ramp has now lots of color entries and it's really detailed. So let's see what the render looks like. All right, this is now getting somewhere. I think it looks really, really good. So I always like to break up the perfect world of CGs, and to do this, I want to introduce some noise to the ramp, so it's not that perfect. This is definitely too strong, but let's just try a smaller value. Okay, you can see it's like really bent, which is too much. Let's reduce the frequency so we get a. Oh, I think I need to make it bigger actually. Yeah, to get it more detailed, let's try a frequency of 2. All right, definitely too strong. Let's try 0.025. Still, I think it's too strong, the bendiness or the not so round curves anymore. So let's just increase the frequency again and try an even smaller noise amount. You can actually input smaller values than which can be displayed here. So I've added now 4 zeros and a 2. And it still works, it just does not display. And you can see now it's like really, really soft, soft bends. Let's try 5. Yeah, I think this is good enough. All right, now this is my diffuse color, and I want to plug this into a bump slot to mimic a really tiny surface irregularity. So I want to create a bump 2D, and the bump value is the R color of my ramp. Bump value, I think that's plugged in correct. I always mix that up too. So then we have the bump slot connecting this in here, breaking the diffuse color connection, and just for now reduce the bump depth to 0, and save an IPR. So what do we see actually? Not much, because we disabled spec 2. Bringing that back in. All right. And we don't want any diffuse color. Okay, so let's bring in the bump map. And let's just try something really small and see what we get. All right, you see, way too strong. Let's try just one. All right, I think it is still too strong, the bump map. So I will just adjust my code quickly and reduce the values. Let's just try 0.2 again and run this. So we get new colors. And let's just see what we get now. All right, I think this is actually working quite nice already. So what do we see here? Do we actually see some anisotropy already? Yeah, we definitely see something happening on the surface here. You can see the star has like this ridge. You can see that something is happening on the surface. So what is next? I will try to create it. First, let's just see how it looks in the sunny environment. And you can see a nice highlight appearing on the surface here. It's definitely a bit too strong, the overall HDR. So let's just try negative 0.5. Okay, and the next thing I want to do is I want to create a nice fall off between those two colors, which we actually see on the on here. So there's something happening in between, so it's separated nicer. So to do that, I will create another ramp, ramp texture, and to do this, I will connect this. First, I will store an image, store IPR. Okay, I just want to store this. And then I will connect this ramp to the diffuse color again and do the same thing as before, disabling spec 2. So no specs. And then I will go to the ramp, move it to be circular and the mode to be none. Then I will set this as A. And now I will start creating the distances so I can clearly see when I get the edge of the next color. Okay, this is quite good. So the next color, let's just try this. This needs to be brighter. Okay, this is actually also quite good already. So let's see, going to the next stripe, which is this one. So obviously I'm doing this fast so we can actually see some results quite quick, but you can spend some more time if you want to produce the same result I'm creating here. So these are now the colors we need with the correct offsets. We just need the last one for the outer edge. Outer edge. All right. So the next step is to create. So this is the middle of all the things. So what I want to do now is I want to create one color here, one color there, one color here, one color there, here and there, and here and there. And the middle ones are black. Like so. And I want to change interpolation to be spike. Overall spike. It is overall. And okay, white. And this one goes white. This one is white as well. Middle is black. The outer one is white. Black. White. White. Okay, so this is now wherever I have a color change, there will be a ridge like so. Obviously, you can even here spend more time to make it nicer. And I want to multiply this. Let's just call this color spacers or whatever. Color spacer. And I want to combine this so we get a new bump map. So AL combine float. And because it's white and black, I want to multiply them together. So those two guys go connect like so. They are multiplied on default, and I just connect this to here. And let's just see what we get. All right, this is now still the color connected here. So just disable this, increase the spec 2 again, zoom a bit in here, and let's just see what we get. If we actually see something, changing this to isolate selected. So we definitely see the color happening. So my efforts were correct. And we should now see the ridges in here, and also in the bump map. When we get certain light directions, we should see something happening on here. So I think the HDR is still too bright. Let's just switch back to the studio. And the next thing I want to do, I want to create some breakup to create the grunge effect on the surface. To do this, I will create an AL flow noise, which is a quite powerful noise map generator. And this one will connect into the specular to strength. So out color goes into specular to strength, like so. And let's see what we got. All right, so increasing the frequency, like so. Increasing the gain, just to create a little, I don't know, some variation. Maybe even try this. Reducing the gain, we get some blotches. We can multiply this, or whatever is wide will be fully reflective, and then the darker ones will have less reflectivity. So I don't know, you can adjust all these values, play around, see what you get. You can, if you want, you can even go in Maya or Photoshop and paint your own maps, so you don't need to do this procedurally. So what do we get now? Let's just first disable the bump. All right, so this is now what we got. We can see something is happening. I think we need to remap this still. So the values, let's see what we get. Status bar, display pixel. Yeah, so we actually want to clamp these a bit. In here is also already a remap. So we want to make them way brighter. All right. So now you can see that we got some nice breakup on the surface. And let's introduce the bump map again. And maybe also just add a light to get to see the effect a bit stronger. Arnold lights. Let's just add a point light. All right, this is the current render, and you can see it might be that the breakup or the grunge map I've added is a bit too strong, but you can see the anisotropy happening really nice on the surface. You can see that the light is being dragged in one direction here and one on the top. Overall, the bump is, it might be still too strong. You can see it's really dark here. But never mind that. I just want to show you the practical approach, how you would create a quick anisotropy shader. And you can see the bump map I've added, like the color ridges. You can see that there's a nice breakup happening here now, where you get a nice edge reflection. So the next thing I want to do, I want to work with specular 1 actually. So let's just store this and change to progressive. And for the spec 2, I want to increase the roughness just a bit more, so we get a broader spec hit, and overall reducing the specular 2 intensity. For now, I will just disable specular 2, and now I will work with specular 1. And again, you can see that something is happening because we already have the bump map, but I want to work now with the anisotropy sliders in here actually to do this. I will create another ramp. This time it will be a circular, a radial ramp, like this. and you can already see how it looks like in here. And I want to create a bit more of these edges in here. So I've got something like this. So this will be one 360-degree rotation, and this one will be another one. And let's create another one like so. You can even work on the spacing however you want, and just change the mode to be, let's just say, smooth, so it is soft in all directions. And this map actually will connect into the anisotropy in the spec 1 slot. So let's do this. This one goes in here. It always connects the wrong ones. I hate this. So out color R goes to specular 1 anisotropy. Not sure if that is correct. All right, so disabling the bump and starting the IPR. Let's see what we get. So this is the result. You can definitely see something is happening here, and it is kind of a similar result than using the bump map, but you see that these reflections or these strains are quite static and they don't move so nicely with this. So I like to keep having them in there, but not so strong. And to do this, you can actually also work on the rotation. This is just shifting how the surface roughness is being shifted on the UV axis. So increasing the roughness gives you a broader specular look. And I will add this on top of my specular 2. So this is now both spec maps combined. Currently we don't have any bump map. It will change. So let's just reduce this a bit so we get like more sharp reflections, but overall dial down the spec 1. And now let's bring back in the bump map. Let's try 0.5. And now I will run a full resolution render and just let's see how it looks in the end. Looking back at this, you can actually quite nicely see what is happening. You can see we have the ridges on the surface, and then whenever the spec light hits, you get the nice fall off of the light. You can see this edges happening here. And yeah, this is how you can easily create anisotropic shaders. And to understand what it is doing, all you need to do is modify the surface of your object using a bump map, a displacement map, or a texture to create this effect. And I think using only procedurals, this result looks quite good. So if you did enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment below what you think. If you have new ideas on tutorials or any other questions, feel free to ask me. And as always, happy rendering!